The fourth and final chronological section of the exhibition covers the period from 1950 to the present day. So it looks at the modern civil rights movement of the 1950s and 60s and the remarkable landmark achievements that came out of that in the form of various legislation that legally got rid of segregation and unequal treatment. And then it traces the history after that and the ways in which Black people have made remarkable achievements in all arenas of American life, from science to culture to athletics to politics and so forth. And it brings us up to the present day to look at new issues and debates in the state of race and race relations in our country, a state that is a present state in which we find persistent evidence of socioeconomic disparities as well as racial discrimination. Arthur Ashe is a featured individual in this section. He's highlighted not only for his remarkable achievements on the tennis court, for breaking the color line in men's professional tennis, but also for his status as a lifelong champion of human rights. Some of the artifacts we have that feature his story include a tennis ball that a fan had him sign. So we have an autographed tennis ball by Arthur Ashe. We also have his Davis Cup ring, the ring that he helped the U.S. team win in 1970. He was instrumental in the team victory during that year. And what I find very powerful about this ring is that for Arthur Ashe, the Davis Cup was incredibly important because the Davis Cup, it's a team sport where each nation chooses a certain number of players to represent the country. And Arthur Ashe first made the Davis Cup team in 1963 and played on it for many years over the course of his professional career. And he said that in many ways, making the Davis Cup was even more important than his individual wins, than his Grand Slam wins at Wimbledon and the US Open or so forth, because he was chosen to represent his country. And for a Black man who grew up in segregated Virginia and was prohibited from playing on certain courts in his youth, and continued to face racism throughout his professional career, making the Davis Cup team was a major achievement for him. And as I say, this area explores various achievements of Black people in the modern era, taking us up to the present day, which is represented by Ziona Bryant, a young woman who represents kind of new fronts in the fight, the ongoing fight for social justice and new modes of activism. Ziona Bryant is the woman who, as a freshman at Charlottesville High School, wrote a petition to the city council asking them to remove the Confederate monument to Robert E. Lee. That petition sparked a series of debates within the council and more broadly across Charlottesville, across the Commonwealth of Virginia, and nationally as well. It's those debates over the status of Confederate monuments that led to the events in Charlottesville during the summer of 2017. Events that underscored how deeply divided American society is still over the issue of race, and how deep the scars of our long legacy of slavery and segregation and other forms of racialized discrimination are, how deep those scars still are. One of the most powerful objects in this section, it's a little frightening, but I think it's nevertheless has a powerful aura, and is this exploded tear gas canister. This is a canister that police threw into a crowd of counter-protesters, people who were protesting the KKK at a rally in Charlottesville during the summer of 2017. And there's an accompanying photograph that shows that tear gas canister exploding within that crowd. So Zayana's story and some of the artifacts alongside it allow us to explore what some of the ongoing challenges we face are, and as I say, new fronts in the fight for true equality in American society as we face almost daily headlines about problematic race relations in our country, about enduring forms of socioeconomic disparities, about disparities in incarceration rates and so